Okay, let's unpack this. Artificial intelligence is rapidly changing, well, everything, really. From how we work to how our cities even function.
Absolutely. It's this massive force, isn't it? Huge potential, immense benefits.
But also, yeah, significant risks. It's that double-edged sword we hear about.
Exactly.
So the big question is, how are governments actually, trying to manage this huge transformation?
Mm.
That's what we're digging into today. We're basing this on a really deep study, looked at 139 AI policy documents.
Yeah, 139 from the big players, China, the EU, and the US.
Right. And our mission here is to pull out the key nuggets, help you quickly grasp how these powers are approaching AI, where they differ, and maybe where they surprisingly agree.
And what's really cool about this study is the method they use, something called structural topic modeling.
STM, yeah. Sounds technical.
It kind of is, but basically it's like an advanced text analysis. It helps reveal the underlying themes, the real focus across all that policy text.
So not just the buzzwords on the surface, but what they're genuinely prioritizing.
Precisely. It gives a much clearer picture.
Okay, so let's start with the basic why. Why is governing AI so critical right now? We know the benefits.
Right. The potential is enormous. Economic growth, industry upgrades, environmental help, better public services, health breakthroughs, smarter decisions. The list goes on.
It sounds almost utopian sometimes.
It can, yeah.
Oh.
But then there's the other side. The study really highlights this too. AI's complexity, the fact that it can be opaque, unpredictable.
That black box problem.
Exactly. And that raises huge ethical and societal concerns. Things that really jumped out from these documents.
Like what specifically?
Well, algorithmic bias is a big one. Reinforcing inequalities in hiring or loans, even law enforcement. We've seen examples.
Like the Compasses system debates in the US or Siri in the Netherlands.
Those are perfect examples. And then you have security flaws, data breaches, manipulation risks, and the really tricky stuff like autonomy and accountability.
Who's responsible when an AI gets it wrong?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Plus, major privacy concerns, surveillance, profiling, especially for vulnerable groups, like kids or the elderly.
So the potential for harm is just as real as the potential for good.
Absolutely. It makes governance not just important, but urgent. Aligning AI with public values, that's the core challenge these policies are wrestling with.
Okay, so they're wrestling with it. What did this deep dive, this analysis of 179 documents actually uncover about how they're doing it?
Well, the study boiled it down to 13 main topics and then grouped those into 3 broad categories or pillars of AI governance.
3 pillars. Okay, what are they?
First, research and application. This is all about pushing AI forward, developing it, deploying it.
Innovation side.
Right. Second, social impact. This tackles the ethical side, the societal consequences we just talked about.
Fairness, bias, rights.
Exactly. And third, government role. This defines the state's responsibilities, the structures, the rules of the road for AI.
Okay. Research and application, social impact, government role. Now, here's something interesting the study found. Government role got the most attention overall in these policies,
That's right.
while social impact got the least. What does that tell us about initial global priorities, maybe?
It's a really significant finding. It suggests, at least initially, the focus was heavily on setting up the governance machinery. The rules, the agencies perhaps more than deeply addressing the human and societal effects.
Kind of like building the regulatory house first, before fully deciding how people should live in it safely.
That's a good way to put it. And it sets the stage for understanding the different paths China, the EU, and the US took. Because while that was the overall trend, their specific priorities within those pillars were quite distinct.
Right, so let's zoom in on that. China, the EU, the US global leaders, but approaching this very differently based on their own contexts.
Totally different starting points. Let's take China first. Their big priority, research and application.
The innovation engine.
Absolutely. It's very much a government-led national system approach, focus on tech development, national security, social order.
And ethics. Where does that fit in for China, according to these documents?
It's there, but often framed as supporting advancement, like ethical guidelines help make AI more effective or accepted, serving those broader national goals. More utilitarian, perhaps.
So less of a standalone principle, more a tool for progress.
That seems to be the emphasis reflected in the policies analyzed. Think about their AI industry plan. That's my shorthand for a long policy title. It's laser-focused on smart products, cars, robots, drones, and the core tech like sensors and chips.
Very practical, very applied.
Exactly. And they use things like pilot zones, these localized experiments. The study mentions one in Jinan that lets them test things out, adapt, that classic crossing the river by feeling the stones idea.
Learning by doing.
Right. And another unique thing is their AI talent cultivation policy, a real top-down push to create the skilled workforce they need through universities.
Okay, so China's leaning hard into building the tech. What about the EU? Complete contrast.
Pretty much, the EU really emphasizes social impact. Remember, it's a supranational body guided by these strong, human-centered values. They aim to be the global leader in AI ethics.
So their starting point is rights and values.
Definitely. Their AI ethics blueprint, the ethics guidelines for trustworthy AI, makes it clear. AI must align with human rights, protect vulnerable groups. They even list key requirements for trustworthy AI.
Like fairness, transparency, human oversight?
All of those. The idea is to build trust, to ensure AI serves people responsibly. It's about designing with ethics, not adding it later. They're trying to prevent problems proactively.
Trying to avoid those bias examples we mentioned earlier.
Exactly. Their AI safety report looks at risks like opacity and autonomy across the whole AI lifecycle. They also have policies on AI's impact on work, focusing on social protection for workers displaced by automation.
And cooperation.
Huge focus there, too. Their coordinated AI plan pushes hard for public-private partnerships, data sharing, and international collaboration.
Interesting. Okay, that leaves the U.S. Where does their focus lie?
The U.S., according to this analysis, concentrates most on the government role.
Setting the stage, the rules.
Right. It fits their market-oriented system. Generally a lighter touch, laissez-faire approach, big emphasis on economic competitiveness, staying ahead technologically.
And ethics in the U.S. context.
Primarily left to industry self-regulation, based on these documents. Government action is more about enabling competitiveness and setting up internal structures.
Can you give an example?
Sure. The American Competitiveness Act of 2020 tasks agencies like the FTC and Commerce Department with studying the AI industry to bolster the U.S. position globally.
So understanding the market to compete better.
Yes. Then you have the AI-led Act, which is about setting up governance boards and chief AI officers within federal agencies, adapting the government itself.
Internal housekeeping for the AI age.
Kind of. And the Growing AI through Research Act focuses on funding and coordinating research, setting up offices, committees, research centers, supporting the science.
Okay, so really distinct priorities. China on application, EU on social impact, US on government structure and competitiveness. It seems like they're miles apart.
On the surface, yes. Their motivations and starting points are clearly different. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Ah, the convergence.
Exactly. The study suggests that despite these differences, all three are actually moving closer together in certain key areas over time.
How so? What are those areas?
Three main ones stand out. First, scientific research. Its importance is rising everywhere: China, EU, US. Everyone recognizes you need strong research, not just for innovation, but also for safe, ethical AI.
So the foundation is getting more attention universally.
Right. Second, institutional systems. Building the actual governance structures. This wasn't a huge focus early on, especially outside the EU, but it's gaining ground. People realize you need proper frameworks.
More than just guidelines, actual institutions.
Yes. And third, human rights. This was always big in the EU, but the study shows China and the US are gradually paying more attention too, maybe partly driven by public backlash against AI mishaps.
Like the bias issues or privacy scandals.
Could be. It suggests a potential shift away from just develop first, manage later, especially in China and the US. A growing sense that ethics and robust institutions aren't optional extras. They're fundamental.
That's actually quite hopeful, a kind of global learning curve.
It seems that way. Slow, maybe, but moving.
So wrapping this all together, what does this mean for us, for you, listening? What are the practical takeaways for better AI governance moving forward?
The study points to 4 key implications. First, the need for balanced governance frameworks, meaning you can't just focus on industry growth or just on ethics. You need both, integrated, bring diverse voices to the table. Governments need to lead with a human-centered approach, embedding ethics from the start.
Not just bolted on at the end.
Precisely.
Ah.
Second, meaningful public participation.
Getting regular people involved.
Yes, and genuinely involved, not just token gestures. We need real mechanisms for citizens, for you, to offer informed input. Things like diverse citizen panels, proper consultations, maybe online platforms, open forums.
And maybe helping people understand AI better so they can participate effectively.
Absolutely. Capacity building, education that's vital. Third, a comprehensive technological ecosystem.
What does that involve?
This is more for industry and researchers, building consensus on the tricky technical stuff, interpretability, fairness, robustness, then creating actual enforceable standards based on that consensus.
To build public trust and manage risks.
Exactly. And finally, fourth, crucial international cooperation.
Given AI doesn't respect borders.
Not at all. So we need collaboration, harmonizing standards where possible while still respecting different contexts. Think multilateral agreements, global summits, shared research, and making sure developing nations have a seat at the table too.
That's essential for equity.
Vitally important.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. We've seen how China, the EU, and the US started on different paths, application, social impact, government role, but seem to be converging, particularly around research, institutions, and human rights. What's the one thing that really stands out to you from all this?
For me, it's that convergence, however slow. It shows that governing AI isn't static. It's this ongoing dance between pushing innovation and managing risks. And seeing that shift towards more human-centered concerns, even in places where it wasn't the initial focus, is significant. It suggests the global conversation is evolving.
It really is. And that leaves a big question for you, our listener, to think about. As AI keeps accelerating, how will this global dialogue with its different starting points but growing common ground actually shape the AI systems we all interact with in the next 5-10 years?
A crucial question for all of us.
Indeed. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep digging, keep learning, and keep asking those big questions.